I was so in shock. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, did I just get like a spidey sense? We're just, as humans, we're just naturally competitive, you know? So you have to have the fear of losing to want to win. I want to be a leader of this team. I want to be out in front, you know, leading us in the battle.
All right, welcome everybody to the Athletes in Sports podcast. This is our second episode. Our special guest today is Josh Metellus, current Minnesota Vikings player, also a Michigan Wolverine from Florida, North Miami Beach, Florida. And we're here today just to hear a little bit more about Josh's story, how he started sports, the academics that came with Josh through his sports career, also a little bit about mental health. And, you know, we'll kick it off today, Josh. We're at a hockey event today, the In Sports Joy of the Pond Mite Jamboree. It's our annual hockey event. But have you ever played hockey?
I have not played hockey. I've attempted to try to skate a couple times. Not really my thing. I don't really feel comfortable and confident in skates. But, you know, I enjoy, you know, any sports and seeing kids, especially kids, you know, get together and, you know, try to do something.
Well, maybe the longer you're in Minnesota, maybe the better hockey player that you could get.
I think by the time I leave Minnesota, I'll be a really good skater. I wouldn't say hockey player, but I'll say a really good, you know, a decent skater.
Well, you stick with Andrew and I. We'll teach you a few things on the ice there. But we'll get into your Vikings and your pro career, your college career. But maybe tell us a little bit about how you got into sports, maybe who influenced you, what sports you played as when you were little growing up, and was it just football or were there some other sports?
Track was my first love, I like to call it, you know, in terms of sport. I ran track, and my mom, she ran track growing up, and I started track when I was like 5 or 6, and I don't know. I just, to this day, you know, it's one of the sports I love watching the most, like on TV. I just love being a part of just track. I think the process of it, and then, you know, the gift you get just in the meets and the stuff like that is just special. But I didn't start playing football until I was 10, mainly because my dad and my brother on his side was playing football, and, you know, it was like a way to get me and my brother closer together. And I already have a brother on my mom's side. You know, it was like, you know, a way for, you know, all of us to just, you know, play a sport and, you know, just do boy things, play football.
Yep.
And that's how I initially started. And I wouldn't say I was like track where like initially just fell in love with football, but by the end of the season, around the award ceremony, my first award ceremony, I would say that's when I realized how much I love football.
Did you win any awards at that ceremony?
Did I? I don't think so.
What did you love most about that? 10 years old, are you playing, like, that's tackle football at that point?
So 10 years old, I played tackle football. It was so in Florida, I don't know how everywhere else does it, but at that age time, it was by weight. Okay. So we call it 90s. So if you were 90 pounds and below, so you have to be like a certain.
Sounds like wrestling.
So I wrestled in high school. We'll get to that too. But I played 90s. Usually 90s you play for 2 years. So my first year I was however old you had to be and however weight to play 90s. That was my first year of football. Didn't win anything. I played tight end. I played defensive end. I was one of those guys where, you know, I had to get the like minimum snaps to play, and then it just took me right out. But like, you know, throughout the season, I just naturally just got better. By the end of the season, I was just, you know, starting tight end. I couldn't catch for nothing. So I'm probably gonna end up moving to defense next year. But, you know, I didn't care. You know, I just thought when I played with those guys and I made those new friends, and I got to see my brother he was younger than me because I'm the oldest of 6. I watched his award ceremony because they went first, and he was really good at football. He's MVP almost every year he played growing up. He was really good at football, and he was like one of those guys, you know. So like I in a way looked up to him, even though I was the older sibling, and, you know, watching him and seeing getting his camaraderie from his teammates and seeing all the guys he's, you know, always talks about, seeing how happy they was for him to win his trophy. You know, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it was my turn, and, you know, I got a trophy. You know, what's the trophy you get? Participation trophy. I got one of those. Didn't care for it. But just watching my teammates win trophies was really cool. And I was just really happy for them. And that inspired me to the next year. Next year I was starting running back. I don't know how I went from tight end to starting running back, but I went from tight end to starting running back and nose tackle. That was my 2 positions. Nose tackle because I was just I was quicker than everybody. Started to pick that up that I was naturally just quicker than everybody. So they put me at nose tackle and told me whenever he moves the ball, just go. And I was doing that. And then I played running back, and it was really fun. And running back was my position throughout all of football until high school, until I started playing safety. I just fell in love with football just because the team environment. You know, I don't know how to explain the camaraderie and just the feeling you get of depending on guys. You know, you do a lot of work with, and you know, getting those awards and watching my teammates get those awards really woke something up in me. And the next year I played, and the years after that, you know, I just, is it football season yet? Like, when can we start practicing? When can we do this? When can we do that? And that more and more, the more I started to play, the more I fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. And did you continue to do track alongside football?
I tracked up until high school and up until senior year until I went to college. I even wanted to try to do track in college. At one point in Michigan, I was almost debating joining the track team, knowing we had another guy, Drake Johnson, who was doing the same thing. So I was like, oh yeah, I might try again.
Right.
You know, I love it. Like I couldn't stay away. Like I even trained with the track coach at Michigan in the off season, just, you know, to work on speed and stuff like that, because I couldn't stay away. But track was always, you know, still up there. But once I started playing football, like it was no turning back. Like I knew this was like what I wanted to do in terms of, like, if I had to pick a sport to play only, I would only play this sport. And I started off, you know, I wasn't that good, so I never knew I was even capable of making it to the league until I knew I could get a scholarship by the time I got my first one was my senior year. So I didn't get my first scholarship till senior year, so I didn't know I could play football in college till I got that. Because, you know, I thought of myself that way, but if you don't get a scholarship, you know, you can't play. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get my first scholarship to going into my senior year.
That's senior year of high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Senior year of high school.
Do you think being naive to that, like, allowed you to play in college a little bit?
Yeah, I think, I was a big academics guy growing up. You know, I was like, hey, I got to have good grades. So, you know, I was on the roll student. In middle school, I got nominated for this thing where I ended up winning a full scholarship academic to any school in Florida I chose.
Wow.
So so I was like in this program that I had to do to, you know, I obviously had to do certain things to do that. I had to have certain grades and, you know, do certain mentorships I had to do throughout middle school and high school for that. But I'll never forget when I got my first offer. I walked in there with my mentor. Her name was Miss Rubin. I'll never forget her. So
Miss Rubin.
Such a nice lady.
Yeah.
I walked in there with Miss Rubin, and I told Miss Rubin, like, I'm sorry, like, you don't have to come anymore. Like, give the scholarship to somebody else. Like, you know, I want to play football. Like, you know, like, like I knew that's what I wanted to do, but until I got the scholarship, you know, it wasn't a reality. And I literally told her, I was like, you don't have to come anymore. I'll literally, like, please get the scholarship to somebody else. Like, let them get the, you know, academics. Mm-hmm. I want to play football. Like, and at this time, my first offer was Georgia Southern.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Committed
where to?
Automatically because it was already my senior. I was going into my senior year. Like, I committed to my first offer. You know, they even took me on a little unofficial visit, and like me and my mom was like, yeah, I mean, like, this is my opportunity. Like, I just gave up my other scholarship. Like, I gotta find a way. I gotta find a way into school now.
Josh, you're a giver.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta find a way into school now. So that happened, and yeah.
So Josh, going back to like the academic side of things, you know, you'd mentioned that was really important to you. Was that self-motivation, or did anybody inspire you to want to perform academically?
I would say it was a little bit of my mom and a little bit of self-motivation. I'm a big competitor. You know, I don't like to lose. So growing up, you know, when everybody, like in elementary school, they put up on the board about how good you are in class, or, you know, who has the best test scores and stuff like that. So, you know, I never want to see my name at the bottom of anything. No. So, like, that was just a natural reaction to me, just to be good at school, because I just wanted to be good at, you know, anything I tried to touch. You know, I tried to take part in. I wanted to be good at. Like, I knew very young that I was a very competitive kid. So that was just, one of my things, I was like, I'm going to just try to be good in school. And once I knew I was good at it, it was like I had a good memory. I was like, it's easy to be good in school. I'm going to keep going with that. So that's really how it started.
Did you have a certain subject that you?
Math.
Math?
Math was my thing. I'm not as good as numbers as your son. But math was my thing. Up until college, I took, Calc 2, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was pointless.
My goal in college was to take whatever business course that I didn't need to take any calculus.
Yeah, so I tried to major in business. And if you don't know, Michigan Business School is really good. Stephen Ross Business School is really good. And to get in it, you have to do crazy things. So I'm doing these crazy things my first 2 years, stressing myself out, 18 credits a semester, knee deep in football, I'm like, this is point, because I wanted to be done with like school when I was done with football. So like I was trying to do too much, and the business school was too hard to do that. And they were telling me like this is like more of a 4, maybe 5 year thing. I was like, I'm trying to do 3 at most, I'm trying to get out of here.
Let's go.
I'm trying to get out of here. So I ended up majoring in sports management with like a minor in business. So it was like, I kind of got both, but math was my thing. I just really I didn't like science, but math, English, stuff like just anything, I was pretty good at a good majority, kind of like I am on the football field. Like I was pretty good at a good majority of things.
How did you balance that? 18 credits in, crazy knee deep in football. How did you find that balance?
Yeah, it was hard. We had this thing called academic. I forgot what it was called. We called it the AC. It was academic center, but I forgot what they called. But we had to basically from the time we finished practice. So we had classes from 8:30 to 1. We had to be in the facility by 1:30 because we got a 1:50 meeting. The meetings don't finish till however long, but by the time we leave the facility and done with practice, it's 6 o'clock. And at 7, you got to be in the academic center from 7 to 10 to finish all your homework and all your stuff, because we're at Michigan and like we don't play about academics. Like they want you to be on top because Michigan is one of the better public schools when it comes to academics. So they were very serious about us in school. So that was my life for every day. Yeah, I was at school. It was 7 to 10, and then even longer because obviously I wasn't getting things done in 3 hours. I'm tired like all day, so I'm procrastinating. I'm a big procrastinator.
Honest and humble, Josh.
I'm a big procrastinator, so I'm procrastinating, trying to take my time. But next thing you know, I'm leaving 11 o'clock, having to walk, to my dorm, and it was very tough. Once I started playing more, and I ended up starting my sophomore year. I ended up starting at the end of my freshman year, but my sophomore year was my first season starting. I was like doing that and trying to handle school was like, okay, that was tough. I wasn't doing too well on the field, like up to my standard, and off the field, I wasn't doing too well either in school because I'm just like, I was doing too much. So it was very tough to handle. And then by my junior year, I switched to sports management, and I think you can look at my stats and you can see the big jump that I made from my second year to my junior year, because it was just so much stress taken off my plate, just knowing that I can get my schoolwork done and no worries, and I didn't have to go to the academic center anymore the whole time because I was getting my stuff done at the right time. And so it was definitely a lot to handle, but once I figured it out, it was definitely better for me.
So Josh, what advice, like if kids or athletes were listening to this, what advice would you give them?
To don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Really, I mean, half this stuff I wouldn't have known or done, if I didn't put myself in these positions. I reach for the stars, even though I know I'm not going to grab them, I'm grabbing something, So I told myself I want to be a business major and be a full-time athlete and make it to the league, but obviously, you can't do everything, but just me putting myself out there, me relying on the people who are helping me, Michigan, my parents, just people in my life who cared about me. And, I just thought, if I just put myself out there, good things will come. So, anybody who's listening, just put yourself out there. Good things will happen eventually. It's just all about the process. That's how I look about it. It's all about the process. The results are going to be what they're going to be.
And we've heard that goal setting and manifestation are a big part of like how you've gotten to where you are today. When did that start in your career?
That started when I met my wife.
Okay.
My wife was very. It's crazy when I first met her. You know, we started to figure out like we were meant for each other. She said, you know, like it's crazy. Like I manifested this. I'm like weird. like what you mean? You like you stalked me or something? Like huh? Like what? I manifest? Like I don't even know what so you know. So obviously, you know, I asked her about it. We talk about it. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty cool. And then first couple years in the league didn't go how I wanted it to go. Found myself, I got cut. I was on the practice squad for a little bit, and then I'm a fringe 52nd, 53rd guy, you know, playing special teams, trying to make my name on there. You know, I never felt comfortable, you know, my first 2 years in the league. And she just kept telling me, like, you know, you should try manifest. I said, I am, you know, I'm tired, you know, I want to be great, you know. She's like, no, like, it's bigger than that, you know, like, you got to. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'm done with this. I've got to do research. So I'm doing my own research. You know, because, you know, you never listen until you do it yourself. You know, that's how just people are in general. So I started doing a little bit of research. You know, we do research together. And then, you know, we just get an idea, like, you know, let's start writing stuff down. You know, so we go from starting writing stuff down. She's like, all right, how about let's get a goal board? So all right, that sounds good. So we get a goal board. You know, I start writing stuff down on a goal board. I'm like, this doesn't, my handwriting sucks. Like I don't even read my own handwriting. Like you should see my notebooks. Like I write, like my brain works different. Like I write just to think I'm writing. I don't write to go back and read it, you know?
Right.
I write just to write it, you know, to make myself remember it for the repetition. So I barely was reading the board. So my wife started writing it. And once my wife started writing it on the board, that's when it started to click for me. So every day we started reading the board, and like I would just notice it more, and then things started to fall in line. And the more things started to fall in line, the more I started manifesting, the more I started looking into it. I'm a big yogi. I do yoga a lot, and yoga, you know, you meditate. And I started using my yoga practices to manifest, and it was just like, dang, like so many things happened in a year of my life, from my second year in the league to third year in the league, and then from this year to from last year to this year. And it was like I credit a lot of it to manifestation. And you know, if my wife never told me about it, I would have probably never done it.
Right.
But I think it does work, and I think your mind does play a big part of just how you go about your daily activities or daily thoughts. You know, I think it does play a big part of just, you know, who you are as a person at the end of the day.
Well, and just that mindset. I'm sure when you were on the practice squad, you probably had some negative thoughts.
Terrible thoughts. I mean, I literally used to think like days of cut days ever since the day I got cut. Every day, like the days of cut days were my most stressful days of the year by far. Like I'm like my phone ringing, I'm like pissed that people like don't even call me. Like what are you doing? Like you know how stressed I am. Like me and my wife in the house, like cooped up like this, like panicking. You know, like one of those. So, you know, I'm telling myself like, I must not be that good.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm going off of what the coaches are. You know, you're not good enough to play right now. Like and it hurt, but like I was feeding myself these negative thoughts, instead of telling myself like, you know, I'm getting there eventually, you know, this is just part of the story kind of thing. So like, that's what I tell myself now, where like when things aren't going my way, like I just tell myself like my end goal is still going to happen. It's just how I'm gonna get there. You know, all of this is the process. So that's why like I fall in love with the process, because like I just like whatever has to happen to get me to the goal I'm manifesting has to happen. So that's just what I tell myself. That's like, it's a mindset thing. And I try no negative thoughts, especially about football, because, you know, that's what I want to be super successful in. So, you know, I try I transfer it to my daily life as well, you know, just about being a better person, being a great husband, being a great father, and, you know, just being a great son, just everything. So manifesting is definitely a mindset, and it's not just a one thing, you know, it's a everything.
Yeah. What are some examples of like the manifestations that you've put out there? Like,
so my first thing I wrote on the board was to start. I wanted to have my first season where I didn't just play special teams. You know, I wanted to play on defense. I wanted to start. That was one of the first things I wrote on there. I had, I mean, pretty much everything I've accomplished in the past year has been on the board. Like contract extension was on there. Crazy too, because I was the first one in our class to get a contract extension. I got guys like Justin Jefferson in my class. You know, it's crazy. But, you know, I put it on the board and watched it come true and checked it off. Stats was on there. I mean, I hit every stat I wanted, but majority of all my stats are on there. It's like every sack, every tackle I had was probably on that board. I've had like daily stats. I've had game stats. I've had just season stats. Being a captain was a big thing. That was actually capitalized on the board. After it was start, but then I was like, all right, actually I hold captain higher, so I ended up putting start down and putting captain as the first one, and exclamation. Like that's something I'm really proud of, and I really take pride in.
How do you get to become captain? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, every team is different. I know my first 2 years in the league, the coaches picked, so it was like a Zim and his staff thing.
Yep.
And ever since KO came, the players vote. So it's just a players vote. So we'll go in at the end of camp. Usually it's the day after cuts when we get like our full 53. Before like the practice squad comes in, it's just like those 53 guys who made the team, and we come in. And we write on a sheet of paper, who we think these captains on offense and captains on defense and captains on special teams should be. And KO goes in, they count him up, and by the end of practice that day, he reveals them.
Were you surprised when your name was called to be captain?
Yeah, so the first time I was surprised, we were playing Chicago my third year, so not this past year, but the year before that. And we had a captain go down. BO went down with his Achilles, and KO was like, we can elect another captain. And I'm like, okay, like that's cool. Like somebody's about to become captain, and we're sitting there, we all write on the piece of paper, we're giving it to him. Somebody's in the back counting. KO's going through his team meeting speech, and I'm listening to his speech, and then everything just gets quiet, and I don't hear anything, and like I just get chills in my body. I'm like, that's weird. And then, somebody comes up and hands him the paper, and then I start hearing again. And he's like, he starts talking, whatever, unanimously, it's not even close. This is the guy BO even wanted me to do it, but, we have to vote. And he says my name, and I was like, I was so in shock. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, did I just get like a spidey sense of like something crazy? I'm like, I was more shocked than the fact that like, I had that feeling that was going to happen. And I was like,
manifest.
And then yeah, crazy. And then, I walk into the room and I tell my wife, and I'm like, then it hit me. I'm like, oh shit, they just voted me captain. I walk in the next day and I had the C on my chest. We about to play a game, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, man, it's
that's so
crazy.
cool.
So are you locked in now for like?
No, every year you got to get revoted. So
new?
this past year I had to get revoted again.
Okay.
Yep. So the guys, I love the guys. They think very highly of me. And they voted me as a captain again. So I was thankful to have two stars on my C this year, and hopefully I get a third. That's the goal. I want to be a leader of this team. I want to be out in front. Leading us in the battle.
Mm-hmm. So being captain, obviously expectation is a leader, but is there anything like that you have to do for practice or games that?
Oh yeah, we have a leadership group. That basically. KO relies on, just in terms of just keeping the culture of the team the right way, morale, pushing guys, keeping guys accountable. It's just natural of like what a normal leader would do in any situation, in any job field. It's just bringing guys together. It's obviously different when you got 53 plus grown men that you have to, be a captain of. But at the end of the day, we all understand what's at stake, and I think it's one of the highest honors you can get, to be honest.
It's awesome. So transitioning from college, then pro, right? So college, you're transitioning, or you're really focusing on academics and football. Then you go to the big leagues, right? How do you manage being a dad, right? You're a dad, and being a husband and being an athlete.
Yeah, it's almost in the same way, as academics. It's challenging, but it's definitely worth it. I think, my wife and son were the best things to happen to me. Besides, like getting drafted, all that stuff that like doesn't even come close to having them in my life. And I just think being able to just be myself with them, I think that's just all I am. In school, you have to study, you have to do this, but with my wife and my son, I just have to be myself. That's who she fell in love with. If I continue to strive to be a great person, I naturally will be a great father to my son, and he looks up to me. He loves me. So, it lets me know, I'm doing things the right way. My dad and I relationship growing up wasn't, what I would have wanted. So, it was definitely something to me to, stress when I had a son was to be in his life as much as possible and to be, involved in everything, even rather than just, watching him, trying to be involved, understand what he's thinking kind of thing. And then the husband part, me and my wife, just try to make each other better, make each other better people. We strive off each other. She loves football more than anybody. I would say sometimes I think she loves football more than me. So, that's something we definitely connect on. We talk a lot about football. We trying to start our own podcast.
Let's go.
Little shout out to the podcast. Trying to figure out a name first though. Not as cool as In Sports. Yeah, man. We just I think that's just a big part of who I am. Those are my 2 greatest titles right now. So I think I have to stress a lot about that. Football is a hobby. It's a privilege. I don't get to do this for the rest of my life, but my wife and son are going to be here for the rest of my life. So I would say that it's easier than academics, but at the end of the day, it's still time consuming. It's still challenging. It still challenges you. It still makes you have to think about it and find ways to be better and find ways to just make yourself expendable for them. And I love it. And I'm everybody knows in the facility I'm a big family man. As soon as we're done, I try to run straight home to see them. I'm a big family man, and they're definitely special to me. So it's easy to manage both.
You've been speaking our lingo. We do Be the Best You at all of our in-sports camps, and it's just teaches kids how to be the best versions of themselves. So the 3 pillars are self-regulation, self-confidence, and goal setting.
Great.
And, you've been talking, that's your life, right?
Yeah, it's literally my life. It's literally my life. I think confidence is a big part of just who I am. Obviously, confidence and arrogance, 2 different things. They kind of go down the same line and split. But I even talked about this to the team in camp. I talked about confidence and resilience, and just how those are 2 things that got me sitting here in this chair today and still being able to be a Minnesota Viking and be on the 53-man roster was the confidence I had in myself and my abilities, and not letting those first 2 years deter me from who I knew I was and who I knew I would become. And almost, into my manifestation, I had to be confident in what I was saying. Had to be confident in the things that, I wanted to manifest. So I think definitely confidence is very big, and resilience is very big, just because, you're going to get knocked down, things are not going to go your way. And I think the biggest moments of your life is not, the crazy things that happen. It's, how you are after. And, how has it shaped you? How are you going to stand up and go about your day knowing something like that happened, or knowing, a big moment in your life, happened. So that's how I always go about my life. I always think about how I stand up after situations, how I look at myself in the mirror, and how my confidence shines, throughout the day.
Love that.
Well, and our foundation's all about trying to have kids become just great people when they're older. Like, sports are a great tool to teach kids how to be the best versions of themselves, and
1,000%.
learn about how to work with a team, how to work with your coaches, and great coaches are a big part of their development. But some of these skills are also good for adults and getting into their personal, their careers, whatever job field that they're in. And for any athlete, your sports career comes to an end at some point, whether it's your age, whether it's your ability. But have you thought about, like, I know you're still young in your NFL career, but have you thought about what's life for Josh after the NFL?
Football. Sports, I know for sure. It's the reason why I switched to sports management. I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna do something with sports, because I love sports. I can't run from it. But
you're pretty fast.
Yeah. I probably could if I wanted to. But like he just said, I'm gonna stop running eventually. So I would say I've definitely this past couple years started to think more into it. Obviously being cut and being on the fringe definitely, made me think about it a little bit more. But I think definitely something in sports. Mainly football, obviously. That's what I'm good at. That's what I know the most.
Maybe broadcasting.
Yeah.
You're great.
Extremely well spoken.
I did the Good Morning Football show last week. Did 2 episodes of that. That was really fun. That's something I'm interested in doing. Me and my wife talk about that a lot. She thinks I'll be good at that too.
Absolutely.
Something on TV, talking about football, or just doing stuff like this. Is definitely something that interests me. I think anything that has to do with sports, I'm signing myself up for. I mean, I originally wanted to be a lawyer. That's what all the academics was for.
Yep.
Growing up until high school. Up until I got to college and realized, obviously I couldn't do law school because if I wanted to play football, I wanted to be a lawyer my whole life.
Courthouse lawyer?
Yes.
Going to trial?
Like trial. I'm talking like the whole spiel.
That is awesome.
That's that. Like I knew I was very competitive and I was talking a lot as a kid. So like I was like I knew that this had to be. It's crazy. I wanted to be a lawyer. It started off because we was doing this play in elementary school. I think I was in like 1st, 2nd grade, doing this like little fake play my teacher made up. It was the 3 Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf on trial, and I was the judge.
I love it.
And I couldn't forget. I feel bad even talking about it. Every time I tell the story, the kid kept messing up. The lawyer kept messing up the plays, and I was like, in my head, I was just thinking, I'll be so good at being a lawyer. Like I could have just freestyled that. I literally, as a 1st, 2nd grade, I was literally telling myself that I'm like, I could like literally like be a lawyer. Like I think like that would be really cool. Like I could have freestyled that whole thing, even if I messed up my lines. And from then on, I was like, I want to be a lawyer. And that's how that started. So then up until my senior year, I was like, all right, if I'm going to play football, I probably can't be a lawyer. So up until then, I really wanted to be a lawyer.
Hey, you write that on your board?
If you manifest it, there's no doubt you could do it.
And trust me, I don't want to do it. Trust me. Once I realized school and me and school we're not going to connect again.
Yeah.
We're not connected.
Once you're done with school, it's
hard to go back.
Once you get that free time back.
Yeah.
Never
I don't want to take a test ever again in my life.
Never again.
So we started the foundation because we knew the importance of sports and like what that means to us. I know we talk a lot about like specialization, and it's such a big word nowadays. Like kids are specializing so young. Like, what do you have to say to the kids that like are starting to specialize in one sport in that like middle school, high school range, and the importance of playing multiple sports?
Yeah, I would say it's nothing wrong with trying to specialize in the sport because you obviously want to be the best at something. It's going to be harder to be the best at multiple things. But then again, too, you don't want to sell yourself short. A lot of kids don't realize that you're not going to peak, as a kid. So there's things you're going to pick up in different sports the older you get. So I would say if you want to specialize in something, don't forget about the other sports. Maybe you take a year off of it, but don't neglect it. Especially if it's a sport you definitely have fun playing.
Yeah.
But obviously, a sport is not for everybody. I ran track and I played football pretty much my whole life. I wrestled. I tried sports like tennis, swimming, stuff like that. Just it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And
you knew your passion.
Yeah, and I knew what I liked, so I knew that I would stick with track as long as I could. That was I knew I wasn't gonna be an Olympic track runner, but I knew I would just stick with it as long as I could. And that's what I would recommend.
It probably made you a better football player.
Stick with it. Oh, for sure. I think every athlete should run track just because you need to learn how to run. That's just like the basis of almost any sport. In any sport, you need to know how to run.
So in track, were you long distance, sprinter, hurdles?
Long distance, not me. Long distance is not me. I was a sprinter. I did hurdles in high school, my junior and senior year, because like now I was the Mr. Versatile, could do a lot. So my coach wanted me to do the hurdles so we can get more points once we got to the state meet. But I didn't even make it to states and hurdle because I wasn't that good. I was pretty good to win like our regular meets, but I wasn't good enough to make it to states and hurdles. But it was definitely fun. I sprinted. I did the 1 and 200 4x1. Those were my first 3. I did the field events, long jump, triple jump. Those were my 2. Triple jump was really fun. I thought it was a really cool concept. I didn't start triple jump until high school, for the same reason that my coach just thought, it'd be good to have somebody getting points in that for us in the meets. So I started that in high school and really loved that. But yeah, I think just learning, to be around different group of people You know, every sports attracts different kind of people, different kind of personalities. It requires different skills, and I think, you know, it's good to just broaden your horizon, even though you're specializing in something. Because I even catching baseballs, you know, just to help my coordination when I was playing football, you know, and I played baseball for a month as a kid, like nothing long. Like I literally, my brother played it. He was really good at it. Tried it a little bit. Nah, not for me. Too slow. And later on in life, I'm like, oh, baseball helps with hand-eye coordination. So I'm in the outfield just catching balls, having teammates hit them. I'm just out in the outfield catching balls like that, you know, trying to get my hand-eye coordination. So I would say if you want to specialize in sports, there's definitely other sports to help you get better at your sport.
Yeah. No
kind of going back to be the best you, one concept we also talk about is self-regulation. You talk a lot about yoga and how you meditate, but how do you take that onto the field? Like, say you have a bad play or something happens, how do you self-regulate in the moment?
Yeah, so I would say breathing has a lot to do with it.
We're working on that with our 6-year-old.
Yoga has taught me that. Breathing definitely has a lot to do with it. And then it's a mindset thing. Adam Thielen said something in a team meeting. Coach had asked him about, you know, how same question, like how does he get through things that happen on the field? And he talked about this thing that he does where he like pretends to flush a toilet. He say, I just flush it, you know,
flush
it's gone,
away,
you know.
Next play mentality.
It's like the next play mentality. So like that stuck with me, and I use that a lot. And like I never get my first start this in the NFL. I mean, I had started a couple games last year, 2 years ago. It's crazy. Last year is now this year. But 2 years ago, I started a couple games when Harrison was out. And but my first actual start was this year against Tampa Bay. I gave up a touchdown to Mike Evans, and you know, I could have easily, you know, just, you know, threw myself like, you know, I'm not ready for this moment, you know. Like coach could have shut down, you know, and coach could have, you know, lost all his faith in me into the whole season. But, you know, I went to the sideline and even mentioned it, you know, the look that coach even gave me, you know, almost felt like he knew where my mind was at. He knew I was at a good place, and like he didn't even have to say anything to me about it for me to, you know, move on from it. And it was kind of like just one of those things where, you know, I just move on. You know, you can't control what you can't control. Right. And you know, I'm always looking for the positive in things. You know, and I think that helps a lot. You know, I just realize, you know, when something happens, you're always going to get another opportunity. You know, so that's how I look at it.
Well, it's nice when the coach doesn't, like, they know when you know it, you made it, like you don't need to hear it every time, and you can kind of just flush that away. And
I think we have really good coaches on this team. I'm happy to keep a lot of the coaches back and you know, have the staff together for 2 years. You know, that's rare in this league, you know, having the same group of guys again and again. But you know, it's nice to have the same staff, because I think they did a really good job with the team last year, and I think we're going to do something special this year.
Love that.
Awesome.
You mentioned a guy, Harry Hitman. What does a guy like that mean to you, like coming up in the league?
I mean,
and then also mentor too.
Yeah, he's probably my biggest influence that I've had in the league. I probably wouldn't be the player I am today without him. Just coming into the league as a safety and knowing who he was already and the body work he put in, and then to meet him and see how great of a guy he is, and the love for the game. It's just uncomparable. I have so many good things to say about him. It's kind of crazy. Like, I literally look at him like as a legend. Like me and Cam, like we literally like sit in awe of him all day. Like that's one thing we connect about all day is talking about Harrison Smith. Like he does something. Like he does something cool. And me and Cam, I'm like, yo, like that's some GOAT stuff right there. Like that's crazy. Like you know, we just think so highly of him. And it's just because the work he puts in, you know, a lot of stuff he does, like, he has the highlight plays, but a lot of stuff he does, nobody notices, you know, unless you actually know what's going on. Like, you know what play we ran, or you know how he just saved our butt. And, you know, he did that so much times, even this past year. You know, it's hard to even imagine him, you know, walking away from the game, you know. So, you know, we'll see what he does. You know, hopefully he does it. I told him, I think you got at least 3 more years. But, you know, obviously he knows what he feels like, and he knows when he's done. But
I was watching a video of him doing some like Russian stretching stuff.
He built that in his house this year. I watched the whole evolution of it. Came to his house in training camp, you know, when we first get back. He had a little setup. You know, he's doing some stuff in the weight room. Come back to the house at the end of camp, got some more stuff. Middle of the season, what's this whole setup in the basement? Like this is like you just took off half of our room to just build this contraption.
It's a contraption.
But he loves it. I mean, we literally sit in the weight room and like days like we need to be working out, and he'll be sitting in there doing like his stuff. But it makes him feel great, and if he plays great, that's all that matters.
Right.
Now you kind of became this utility player where you're playing almost every defensive position. How did that come about? Was that you talking to the coaches saying, "Hey, put me in wherever"? Or
so
what?
It started off my first years not playing. I got to watch a lot, obviously, especially front row seats, watching on the sideline. I'm listening to every single coaching point that the DB coaches are saying because I'm literally standing right there. So I'm here listening to him talk to mind you, we have 2-2, so he barely talks about the safeties, because we have Harrison Smith. So he's always talking to the corners and the nickels. So that's immediately like what I started to attach to naturally. My first couple years in the league, I was like, oh, maybe obviously I knew I couldn't play corner, but I'm like, maybe I could play nickel, maybe I can, try to play in the slot. So I naturally just try to sneak myself in there. So scout team, I was trying to play in the slot a little bit. I would ask coach, let me get some reps there, here and there. So then that's when I kind of started to switch positions a little bit. But then when B-Flow came in, I remember one of the first days he came in. I think we were in California when he got the job. And then we came back out here because our house is out here. So we was on vacation. We came back, and I'm like, I wonder if he's still in the facility. I wonder if I go in there, I go in there and meet him. So my wife was like, go in there, go ahead. She boosts me up. I go in there. I'm like, I sit down. I'm like, what's up? Like how you doing? Like whatever. Like I want to play. I don't care where you put me. Let me know. Find some spots for me. Like I play nickel. Like you can see that. Like because I end up the whole nickel thing. I end up starting the game at nickel. The end of 2022, end of 21 or 22, I ended up starting the game at nickel randomly just because we had, it was 21. Bunch of guys with COVID, didn't have any DBs, started at nickel just because we had the guys. So that was one, the Zimmer's last year. And it was like, I got like 15 snaps that game at nickel, and I felt really good about that. And I went in there, using that. I was like, yeah, I played nickel too. I told him that I played nickel in the game before.
Make sure you saw those.
We had a dime package with Ed Donatel that we didn't really call that much, but I played that in practice. I'm trying to tell him all these things.
Yep.
And then he turns around and he shows me this board. He's like, you see all this bunch of stuff. He's like, this is like all the stuff I have you playing. I was like. He's like, I think you could probably find a spot in any one of these things. So I was like, okay, that sounds good. And then, we go into OTAs, and then now I'm playing here, and I'm playing here, I'm playing here. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm having fun. Like, I was picking up the system fast, and we were just trying a bunch of things, but it looked good. So, we just kept rolling with it. And it was really, just the trust and just them to just even go out their comfort zone and just throw a guy who hasn't played anything in all these positions. Like I was playing outside linebacker a lot this year, middle linebacker a lot this year, nickel a lot this year, and my natural position is safety.
Yeah.
So, for them to just trust me in a position like that off of just practice and, just my intellect in the game, just speaks a lot into our coaching staff. And that's what I'm saying. I love them. I think they're really good at their job.
Well, that's just some great advice for any youth athlete who's maybe not getting the playing time. Like if you stay engaged and you listen to what the coaches are telling the other players.
I think that's a big thing that kids that need to realize very young, that when people are coaching other people, they're also coaching you too. And I think a lot that gets, even in the NFL, a lot of guys don't like to listen or don't like to be engaged unless it's specifically towards them. But you're never going to get that way if you don't take everything in.
Right.
So I think, as a kid, if I would have known that more, to just be more attentive to everything rather than just the stuff that pertained to me, I think, I probably would have been here a lot faster than I am now. But obviously things happen for a reason. But, if there's kids out there listening now, I would say, anytime you can get any coaching point on anything that has to do with the sport you love or the sport you're in, you just take it. You never know when you can use it. If I never listened to those pass rush moves or those blitz tips, from my first couple of years, I never would have been able to use them this year and have the coaches trust me because, in this league, you only get one and done. So, if they give you an opportunity and you don't show you can do it, the chances of you getting the opportunity again are very slim. So, I knew that, those things I've just picked up throughout the years just clicked. And it just happened to show up on the field as second nature because they were already in my head. So I think just all those linebacker tips, everything that I listened to that I wasn't even supposed to definitely helped, especially in this year, and it shows.
Well, Josh, we got one last question for you, and this is something that we talk to with all the athletes we have on our podcast. But if there was one thing that you could do personally to help improve youth sports, it could be anything. What comes to mind for you if you could do one thing to help more kids play sports?
To help more kids play sports, I would say, that's a good question. I would say to keep the competitiveness. I would say, we're just, as humans, we're just naturally competitive. So, you get a joy in winning. You get a joy in doing something that not everybody else is doing. So, I think the more we start to transition and try to let everybody win, the more you're not going to get people engaged in it. It has to be a risk and it has to be a reward. So you have to have the fear of losing to want to win bad enough to do the things necessary to want to win. So I think that was the main thing, my thing in playing sports. I once I got out there and I ran my first track race, and we first thing we did was run 2 laps, and me and my brother were in the back. My brother has asthma, so he stopped. So I'm in the back by myself, and I'm like, that was just like that hit me. Where I'm like, I'm not the fastest. I knew that immediately. So then it was like a self-motivation, let me get it better, bring us back, Mom, please, because by next year I'm not gonna be last in this track group. So it was just the feeling of knowing I can win something eventually, getting that feeling of that competitiveness of seeing other people, and striving to be something better than your current state. I think that's what kept me coming back, and I think that keeps everybody coming back in anything. It's just that joy you get of winning, or that joy you get of completing something that you didn't think you were going to be able to do, or you knew you can do, but now that it happened, you're getting that fulfillment and that joy. So yeah, I would say, just keeping the competitiveness alive, I think is a big part of just sports in general, because that's what sports are. There has to be winners and losers, or there's no sports.
Not about the participation trophy.
So I think, obviously, we're getting into a time where, people are more, more in tune with their feelings, and more, some people don't want to feel negative, at all. And it's like, at the end of the day, you can't run from those feelings because they're going to happen. So I think, obviously my son's getting older, so I'll know more what the kids sports are like now. But, from the outside looking in, it seems like it's a lot more even. And I think, there should be gaps, because then, you're more inclined to want to close them. It keeps you coming back. If you get your fill all at once, you're not going to want it anymore. So I think it has to be some sort of, risk and reward for kids to want to enjoy coming back, want to feel good after they just won a hockey game, and go eat some pizza with the guys. Or, you lost, and, now you got to, console with those same people, and figure out together, what can we do to go get that next time, It's always something good in that.
Yeah, just great life lessons. Well, in honor of the In Sports Foundation, so we're a 501c3. We raise money to help get kids in the game. So we put on free camps for kids. We give scholarships to kids, and then we sponsor teams to help alleviate the cost of playing sports so we can get more kids into playing. So what we would like to do, we'd love to continue to collaborate with you. So what we're going to do is take $1,044 in honor of your number, and we're going to collaborate with you on making an impact in youth sports. So if you're game, we'd love to.
Yeah, I'm game. I'll even match that. I think. I think youth sports is definitely something we should keep alive and keep well. And if we can keep getting more kids to play sports, I'm down with that for sure.
Awesome.
That's our end goal. Just keep keep kids in the game.
Every kid should play.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
that.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys
for coming on today and signing autographs for all the kids. I know they loved it. Even though it was a hockey event and we had a football player, but I know out on the rink, all the kids were like, "When's Josh coming? When's Josh coming?" So we just so appreciative of you taking the time to be with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck next season. Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikes.
Our new favorite number.
Let's go.